Hello, and welcome to A Thousand Conversations About the Future, the Power Lunch series, a project of the Ithaca Green New Deal that aims to engage you in a conversation about the future of Ithaca. I'm your lovely and charming host, as always, Rebecca Evans, Sustainability Planner for the City of Ithaca. And in the past, this series has featured kind of the techier, geekier side of the Green New Deal, like economics, electrification, finance, and the other kind of heady topics. But today, I want to invite you to the more alluring side of the Green New Deal. We're going to be talking about art, culture, and dance, more of where the passion of the Green New Deal lives. So as always, join us live on YouTube and feel free to ask questions, submit topics of discussion directly into the chat, and we'll make sure to funnel those directly to our speakers. And without further ado, I guess, allow me to introduce our guests. We have Dr. Nia Nunn, who is a professor in the Department of Education at Ithaca College and president of the Southside Community Center. And she is also, may I say, one of the most engaging public speakers that I have ever had the pleasure of listening to. Any speaker that asks you to dance during their talk, I think deserves a gold medal in my book. And additionally, Dr. Nia is a leader in this community through her anti-racism and Black feminist work. And with Dr. Nia, we have Caleb Thomas, who is the coordinator of public arts for Ithaca Murals and is responsible for supporting local artists through the development and creation of some of the most stunning public art in the country. Absolutely no bias here. Caleb is also a social activist committed to anti-racism and climate change mitigation, and most recently received the Tompkins Chamber Hero of the Month Award. Congratulations, Caleb. So we're very, very lucky to have you both here, and we're so, so grateful that you agreed to take the time out of your very, very busy schedules to talk with us. So thank you so much, and I'm just going to go ahead and hand over the conversation to both of you.
Yay, thank you.
Good to be with you.
Always a joy. Big thank you, of course, to Rebecca, Luis, and the whole crew that has folks engaging in conversations like this.
Yeah. So I don't know where to get started. Yeah, what do we do here?
I know, especially since I guess we can give some framework that we work very closely. We work well together. We've been working together for years, and even raising our children around each other in this community, and both of us born and raised here. Yeah. So I just want to plug that in, homegrown. This is the homegrown conversation that I appreciate. But yeah, nice to breathe with you, my friend. Yeah.
You're coming off of teaching.
Yeah, I am.
At college, and what else? How you doing? I don't know if we want to do, a little time each, listening time, or if you just want to tell me how are things going this morning. And
I'll tell you, things are well this morning. I actually, so I teach educational psychology, 3 sections on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and this is my break. So it's nice to just breathe with you, to sit with you. This is actually the week I am engaging them in some real specific strategies around interrupting anti-Blackness in the classroom. And interestingly enough, as always, I made a direct link to art and the really powerful ways in which we express ourselves. So it's all relevant. I feel fully connected. Like I just showed them the CMEP video, True Joy. And we also looked at the video of Ithaca College students honoring Blackness here at IC. And they read poetry, they did shouts, they had a rally. So it's powerful to have these students right now look at former students and the ways in which they have come together to grow as folks. So it's special. So I'm coming from that. One more after this, but it feels so good because I can watch with their eyebrows them develop even more purpose on campus or start naming their purpose. So I'm feeling good. I'm in it, my friend. How are you? How are you doing today? What's real for you?
I'm doing good. I'm in my new room. I just switched rooms in my house. I live in a community house downtown. And as you know, but saying that for the public. And I've been switching rooms, management. I rent down here, and management just painted this room, and now they're painting my previous room. We got a new housemate moving in a couple weeks, and
What's that, like a cream yellow? What you got going on there? Okay,
yeah.
nice.
And I met with Shira Evergreen this morning, working on this is the first edition of the coloring book. We're already working on the second edition.
Yeah.
Minor changes, and then going to pop out another 500 copies soon.
That's awesome.
And also met with Lisa Nicholas this morning, who's the new, Do you know her?
You mentioned, is she who will be talking to about the Underground Railroad mural?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
So we were talking about another area of town, the Columbia Street Bridge, and what's going on up there. But, so it was good getting to know her a little bit more.
Nice,
And,
nice,
yeah.
nice. Gathering those multiple systems of support, for sure. Yeah. So it's exciting to connect with you, but also just like a little awkward because you and I, we talk all the time. And so I don't mind that. This is kind of like a fishbowl exercise. Like you and I, we have our own conversation and people get to witness it, but but this is what we do. You and I process regularly.
Study hall.
We call it study hall. That's what we call it.
Co-working, collaborating on Southside projects, map design stuff,
all of it. I think we have some new and exciting things coming up. I'll think of 3 real quick, and then you think of 3. Does that work?
Sure.
Okay, 3 projects to share that we may, and then we'll talk about our shared ones. So I am excited because we're going to do, I've told you about this, I think. Yeah, we're doing winter CMEP. So, we do our 4 weeks of summer CMEP, and this last summer we got really creative and did this impromptu experience within West Village. It was so beautiful. A whole bunch of footage of the journey. And I'm pretty confident that we can enroll some families to come to Southside this summer. So CMEP will be back at Southside, and we'll also be in AME Zion Church and connecting with the Elks, right? So multiple historic Black spaces, which I'm all about that. But we're trying a winter CMEP next week. 3 days, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday from 4 to 7. And then on Thursday night, we have a show up here at Ithaca College. Yes, so that is the Black History Month concert at IC. It's late. It's 8:15, so I'm hoping that I can hold on to some of my babies because I have babies.
Is that going to be in person live? We can come up to the college.
Yeah, it's in person, and I'm not sure if it's going to offer virtual.
February 24th.
February 24th, which is a Thursday at 8:15 is the show at IC. But we're going to zap in with the babies. And by babies, I mean like 2-year-olds all the way to 18-year-olds. At Southside, we'll do our winter CMEP style, like go over all the curricular elements of CMEP, have all the babies fall in love with each other. We will have some new ones, and extending the curriculum a little bit, share some new stuff. And do some African dance, but really teaching Black consciousness through a select group of books, right? Just expanding on our curriculum. And I don't know, I'm excited. I'm excited about what's possible with it. And I'm looking forward to just sharing more and more. I'm hoping we could do a fundraiser at some point, maybe even at the State Theater. Because it's time, really just like honoring the work and sharing the work. And we've recorded so many layers of it. So that was like one piece of sharing it, but I'm actually going to do 2, and then I'm going to pass the mic. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Second one is we just finished the Black Girl Alchemist video, the 3 to 4 minute video that teaches the story of our last project. So the first one is right there on the building of Southside, but our second project over at the downtown Ithaca Children's Center, where we were really centering it around Black joy and honoring the Black body. And so we we highlighted De Jure, Gandhi Malone. So that's right there outside the downtown Ithaca Children's Center. And there's a video finally just about ready. So in terms of the most recent or immediate projects that feel good, that I'm excited to share with everyone, those are two that stand out. How about you, friend?
I love that. Yeah, your work with Rosanna and Anne-Marie Zwack, incredible.
All of it.
And all the others, the Black Girl Alchemists.
A lot of great young leaders, right? It's exciting to start passing the mic, you know? We got some fantastic young people here.
Beautiful. So for me this week, well, I love holidays, any excuse to party. And so I'm gonna escape with my girlfriend.
There you go.
For 6-day adventure, some of that that's self-care, love. But other than that, in terms of organizing murals, I'm excited moving forward with a 3-story mural on the back of Family and Children's. That's going to be happening in May, but doing lots of organizing right now to make that happen. There's a mural happening at the library in the teen area, and teens are invited to join in to paint with the artist, Tori Burdick. And so, just show up at the library next week during school break, or come to an open house this Friday, 4 to 6. To sign up, meet her, and just check out the project and sign up. I don't know if the Black Girl Alchemist group would like to paint with her, or we can see, or Kemep, if Kemep wants to go out, spend some time and visit. She'll be there all week next week. You talked about escaping out of Southside for some of those days. If the library is helpful to go hang out there, I don't know. What else is? The next, I already mentioned the next edition of the coloring book.
Nice.
And working in the schools down at Ithaca High School with Black Lives Matter mural organized and designed by Jackie Richardson and Ursula Hilsdorf, and working with teens. You mentioned the youngins, raising them up in their leadership, and what do they transforming spaces and supporting their leadership.
I love it. That's what we do. It's connected to actually one of the questions that someone put out there in the chat. I'm listening to you, us process leadership and young people. And I think that's something that you and I do really well, empowering young people to see themselves as leaders, but to also be a part of a creating process. So when I think about especially the Green New Deal, right? You and I were talking the other day about the New Deal and the Workers' Progress Association, and the power of educating our young people about that history through art. I think there's a question about this pessimism in young people about climate change and some of the circumstances. And I have found, especially this last year, I know, in also working in partnership with Black Hands Universal, who did like a climate camp up in West Village, I think there's so much power in giving young people exposure and space to express, right? Like, artistic expression around some of these social realities, because for a lot of Black and brown babies, I think we need to be even more explicit about the relationship between Black joy and the Green New Deal, and the fact that our ancestors have been engaged in this work and conversation and responding to these realities for a significant period of time. So I think what I'm trying to do is respond to that idea of like the pessimism and the reality that we have to find creative ways to teach and model the relationship. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I guess for me, it's like, can we move away from the model of like, let's get together and have meetings? And I think or just meetings, you know,
Yeah.
like, I think meetings are great. Meetings are important, but we also,
You got to dance about
love-
it. Sorry.
yes, and we're yeah, coming out for, speak outs and like, let's, make it fun and juicy and so involving the arts. And so to have murals about, justice issues. And I also think about, it's young people that really advocated for, the push for Ithaca's Green New Deal. So that power.
And they were teaching, right? Like,
Mhm.
that's the other thing, like I was saying, like really honoring the leadership, honoring the different positions and stories and perspectives that, we need to pass them the mic.
Mhm. Also, just thinking about how when we talk about climate chaos, we have this goal of avoiding a potential sixth large extinction on this planet, and that's an environmental goal, we could say. But everything to get there is a social justice.
That's right.
Grounded in social justice, right to vote, honoring women's bodies, Black Lives Matter, honoring immigrants, and that the migration is beautiful, and us, the importance of us moving around and experiencing different worlds, and honoring grassroots leaders, young people and low-income folks, and as Martin Luther King says, like, little to nothing to lose. Will be such a valuable force for justice in this country. And so I love, what you do with CMEP, is your leadership at Southside taught me so much. So many great leaders in this community.
I'm so grateful and name so many of the folks that have modeled it for me too. I think that the discouragement comes for young people, or for a lot of us, when all of those conversations you just mentioned are deemed like separate and compartmentalized versus like the real direct relationship, like you said, between climate circumstances and our isms, racism, all of that. And I think the more and more we can recognize that direct connection and intersection and the layers, the more optimistic or even more engaged or willing young people will be to continue leading and being a part of the transformation that is necessary. But like you said, all of like signing up to be on a committee that starts another committee, like, enough of that. We need to breathe together. We have to shout, to dance, to create as a central part of the healing journey.
We were both acknowledging last night when we were talking, that you and I both live good lives, and that's, I think for us to have fun doing it, was it, I don't know, who was it that said, our work as artists is to make the revolution irresistible.
Ooh.
The fun that we have, the fun I see you having with CMEP, and dancing and singing, chanting.
With purpose. With real specific purpose. I was teaching my students this today, like showing them the ways in which, 4-year-olds and 7-year-olds can engage in interrupting anti-Blackness, or, naming we were talking about some of the dynamics in 2019, the humanitarian crises at the border, and like the power of having young people breathe out what's real as a part of the healing process, but also the process that leads them, and like being the ones to make it different, to legitimately see themselves as transformers of our current circumstances, so that they like pave the way. We always talk about honoring the indigenous philosophies of the next 7 generations, like really honoring that the work you and I are doing right now, right? Just to know that it can be transformative for our great grandbabies, right? That's energizing. I don't care what anybody says. That is energizing. And so
bite-sized successes that are important. That that's how can I ask you, who who are some local leaders that you think that have advocated for justice, as you know, that are thinking big and acting, with goals, with good local success? Who are people over the years that have been inspiration for you?
Ugh, don't get me started. I swear you're immediately the person that comes to mind who's passed is Mama Scott, and she's always central to some of my processing. But just yesterday, somebody acknowledged like I think it was 2012 that we went to Boynton Middle School and did a whole presentation on Harriet Tubman, right? But Mama Scott was super stern and vocal about ensuring that we know our history, right? That we know and recognize like the cultural significance of our, contribution to society, particularly as Black people and as Black women. And I don't know, I think she, along with my parents, provided a real foundation around like honoring our ancestors, honoring like the blueprints. And here's where we bring in the artsy fartsy part, right? Like think about the designs that you're curated historically, and then how we can use those as blueprints to make sense of today and what's possible. And then I would say that young people in our community right now, one that I've been witnessing grow up since her teenagehood, Harmony Malone, Rosanna Malone, right? Like the young artists who are taking their craft, taking their gifts, and it's so much deeper for her or any of us than just dance, right? It's dance with a purpose. It's dance with a passion. It's dance with a primary focus of sort of interrupting structures or engaging people emotionally and intellectually. We have young people doing that with their art in Ithaca, homegrown young people. And so I know you and I, that's a part of our goals and journey as we are aging and passing the mic, but also just building platforms and stages for folks to express themselves and shine. Remember when we were teaching about the Black consciousness curriculum in the 2020 Black folks that we taught, and with Fred Hampton, we said, learning from Fred Hampton means, learning about how important it is to give young people the mic. We think about how young he was and how powerful he was and the ways in which he like engaged an audience. That's what made him so feared, right? That's right. That's what made him so feared or deemed a threat, because of the ways in which he was able to bring people together and all that call and response that I'm a revolutionary, like this, the energy, you can feel it. So yeah, did I answer your question? Yeah, I think so. Yeah, we've got him. Mama Scott, Harm, I can go on with a list of them, even young people, including my son and some of
performing this past week.
Yeah, at LACS, they just did
the beautiful art of theater and
they did Little Shop, and it was, it wasn't just doing this classic and just doing it and not acknowledging the problematic elements and layers, right? The domestic violence, the racism, the classism, the sexism, the homelessness, addiction, like gentrification, right? Relevant. And it would be irresponsible to just do art without unpacking the layers, the problematic layers. And so that's happening, and or at least it is being welcomed at a different level. And so that was a project. 12 to 18-year-olds fully engaged. You have parents talking about, you can't even watch commercials the same anymore. I was like, good. Right?
I'll relate that back to, when we're painting murals, it's not just about the image or the outcome, but the process.
That's right.
And so, local leaders for me, Gino Bush, who introduced me to
Yes.
so much, so many good people, and shifting our cultural cityscape with
Mhm.
Martin Luther King Jr. Street.
Yeah.
That was imagined, that was dreamed up by Ithaca High School students. And then we pushed for City Hall to transform that. And that inspired me to think about, oh, what else in our cityscape do we, would be nice to change?
Mhm.
And that Underground Railroad mural was that first one back in 2009, 2010. Organizing that, I was like, damn, that I want to do that again. And now it's like 250 murals later,
Right.
12 years later, keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah. Khalil Bay as an
Yes.
artist in this community, painting the Alex Haley mural, a
Yeah.
local author that I think very unrecognized by the city that, what the fuck, that like this amazing leader born here.
Yeah.
And so I think it takes the artist to draw attention and to paint that mural in honor of Alex Haley. One artist, a painter honoring another artist, a writer.
That's right. That's right. That's right. You talking about Khalil and honoring his work, as I think about like the work that we see regularly, right? I cherish, I think I went on your first Ithaca Murals biking tour. I remember it was a June
Midnight tour.
It was a midnight tour. Yes.
Mhm.
Yes. Because I remember bragging about it. And so we biked around, and I always tell people, like, it's so powerful to stop and process and learn the history of murals and images that we see all the time, and recognize the curriculum that is there, that's out there. I appreciate your approach so much and have latched on in so many ways, all the way to the point that I have a whole mural working on my house. It's not fully
By
done.
Mariam Adib.
Yes,
Yeah.
Mariam Adib. So I wanted to bring her up just because, she has served as an art teacher with us at CMEP, and it's been beautiful, and participated in Black Girl Alchemist stuff. She and her sister traveling several years ago, we went to Brooklyn. Like, it's just been so powerful to just watch and witness and participate in young people just establishing their very own hook, their very own niche around this, and developing that like popularity, but also being taken care of, right? And especially as artists, I know that's one of my favorites too, is paying them well to do their craft, to in the ways in which they're teaching through art. So that's, sustainability right there, is really like honoring human beings, and the energy that goes into producing art. Because you and I, we get asked to do stuff all the time. Ithaca's #1 volunteers, often, that we're creating some shifts as it relates to that, where it's like, wait a minute, this is quality work and information that that artists should be compensated for. Compensated well, because if anything, we and many artists are playing a significant role in healing our community. And as we are faced with all these tragedies and even the climate realities, like it's the healing comes from us. It comes from artists, from teachers, and our loving approach. You dig?
Yeah, I'm listening, like, and I come from a family of volunteers, where, my fans, and, yes, people, yes, we'll glad to help out, and there's something beautiful about that too, of not letting money dictate what we're doing, because sometimes there's not the money, but you got to create it, you got to go for it. But then that's where we get to recreate the systems, and you get to hire people to work with CMEP, and I get to hire people, I get to find money, and from organizations, from businesses that have money. And how can we redistribute that to artists that are thinking well about our community, And
Mhm.
you mentioned Mariam Adib and, building that relationship between Mariam and Southside. And I'm
Yeah.
excited for 3 more young people that are painting at Southside. Lauren Reed this past couple weeks finished up a mural honoring Unity.
Ithaca College
Moja,
student, and she's a
yeah,
senior, right?
yeah, and then 2 more. Cypress messaged in last night
Saw
wanting
that.
to do a mural at Southside, and then also Via from Via's Cookies, and she's going to start painting in the next couple weeks. Yeah, just engaging. We think about our world without art.
Mm,
What would that be? So here we are. That they're getting paid
that's right.
to build a relationship with Southside through art, and hopefully we can get some youngins to grab some paintbrushes and paint with them,
Mhm.
and see that they can do it too.
Yeah.
But I'm excited for those upcoming relationships.
Yeah, I think Siobhan Vani, who I call Vani, Siobhan Bunch, the executive director of Southside, I think somebody submitted another one. So there's another one coming. And then
Awesome.
my oldest, Eamon, is working
Mhm.
on a sketch of something as
Great.
well. So he was inspired by the dynamics too. It's just it's so good. It's the visuals that we create, it's the sound, it's the words. I'm starting to think about poetry and the power of the different projects, especially that come out of CAP, like the spring rights events and opportunities for folks to be encouraged to write and share creatively. I bring up poetry just because I'm wanting to do a lot of cool things around poetry as well, from books, from information, from processing climate, from processing the world, as an example. But I don't know, I just feel like there are also a lot of glorious ways in which we as teachers can be encouraged to incorporate art in a variety of subjects. So that's just, yeah, poetry, the hook around poetry. I think we underestimate what's possible with even very young babies who are learning to read, who are learning to write, who could utilize that beautiful source of artistic expression differently than we're doing. Yeah.
So what does this have to do with the Green New Deal, and when is art just superficial and not like I think for years. Yeah, what is what does this have to do with justice? What,
Mm.
like, for just asking that question, for why art? What would you say?
like like why not? No, I think you said it earlier when you were talking about the, like, just even trying to imagine the world without art, or just I don't know, it seems like a bit of a challenging question to answer, just because it just feels so like a natural response to almost anything that I'm having exposure to or talking about or dealing with, right? It's like how I build a relationship with the thing just oftentimes takes art. So I'm feeling like if there is a disconnection, or if we are feeling disconnected from the concept, and as people in general, but I would say even more specifically as folks of color or Black folks, feeling disconnected. Some people will talk about like climate or racism. It's like, nope, right?
Yeah.
I think art is the connection, like, or the way, the avenue, a resource to bring what's needed, what we have to learn, or what we have to do to contribute to the transformation. I think art is the medium, the liaison, the invitation to really doing the thing, and doing it well.
The hook.
Yeah.
Mhm.
What's the call? What's the response? What's like, what is the jam? What is the hook? What color? What do the colors look like? How does it feel? Um, yeah, I think art ends up being the ultimate way of engaging us cross-culturally at a different level. So I feel like art ends up being a necessary glue. And yeah, almost a place to start. I love breathing with you. It's so good. I'm just like, ah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
So we've
no.
got some work to do. We've got some fundraising to do for the Underground Railroad
Yes.
mural. I know there's
And we have artists, fantastic artists. What I
Mhm.
love about we keep calling it the Harriet Tubman mural, but we obviously, we have Frederick Douglass as part of it. But what I love about the work that we have put into building the framework for this so far is that we are allowing ourselves to look at the past, the present, and the future, right? Here we are, February, Black History Month, but I'm loving saying it's Black History Month, Black Futures Month, and then big ups to Herb Alexander, who has been talking about Black Legacy Month, right? And so just the image that connects us to our history, that gives us access legitimately to the blueprint, right? Has us reflect on our now, but just like acknowledging that we're going to be here in the future, right? We have to see ourselves in the future. And so there are so many things that need to be done to care for ourselves as human beings, but to care for this planet that, like, naming that explicitly through that piece of art that people will be able to drive through and enjoy.
Mhm. And think about what is the Underground Railroad of today, for us to
Right.
get to,
That's right.
promised land, to get to freedom. What does freedom look like? And right, the Black joy,
That's right.
the joyful lives that everyone deserves.
Mhm.
Thinking about us, people most vulnerable in this community, the prison industrial complex, the cycles of poverty, and that
Mhm.
is not by chance, that it's this systemic work that we got to do, and we'll see what happens with those relationships of those 5 artists painting together, and then all the teens that can come and also paint and contribute to the quilt work, within that mural, led and with Jackie Richardson, associate principal at Ithaca High School, and engaging with, bringing in teens in to work on that project. Khalil Bay, we already talked about, like him being involved, and that is his awesome experience, as a community elder.
Mhm.
Cypress and Mariam as these, and
Terrence.
parents as
Mhm.
these
Mhm.
young badass artists.
Yeah.
So I'm
That's
excited. And then the
what
relationship, the
we're gonna learn.
conversations that happen,
Yes.
while they're painting,
That's
while
right.
everyone's engaged with each other.
Well, the togetherness and what we'll be able to teach, right? And what we'll be able to learn. And that, I'm super, super excited about both always. And I think that, growing up in Ithaca, to grow up on Cleveland Ave and be in Southside, have these elders, my parents, but like the Mama Scotts, who would teach us that Harriet Tubman once walked this very ground, right? And you can be 5 years old and feel the ground and feel connected to this great person that we're learning about, or these great people. And so I just feel like I'm excited about what I don't know, right? And what will come from that we'll be able to teach, right? Like what young people will be inspired to do. And it's the Harriet Tubman a centennial. They're honoring her life in Auburn this year. Pastor Paris Price reached out because she's the pastor at the
Awesome.
AME church over there. And I love they have everybody thinking about, again, the history, the past, and what she had to offer, right? But the relevance to today, and then the future. So it just makes me think about, what's possible, or the ways in which we sort of channel our Harriet Tubman to today, right? And channeling this level of awareness, of awakening. One of her quotes is about how she could have saved and she could have freed so many more enslaved folks if they only knew they were enslaved. So that immediately has me thinking, of course, about the psychological realities of where we are, where we don't even realize that we are. And so for me, for us, for you, for our world, how we discover that, how we unpack that, usually it comes through our art.
Mhm.
I have to say, I was unexpectedly emotional during that. I could listen to you guys talk all day. So thank you both so much. And I think it's so important for us to inject sort of this feeling and hope and inspiration and love into the Green New Deal. And, Caleb, you mentioned it's not necessarily just about the outcome or the destination, that it's about the process. And I think this is that process of injecting that love and that hope. And that's what I love about Ithaca too, is this insanely passionate community that really pushes us to do the right thing, or at least do our very, very best to do the right thing. So this has been really, really wonderful. Thank you both so much. And I want to give you both a chance, if there are ways that people can support any of these projects that you're working on, feel free to give a little plug before we close.
Yeah, I would say stay tuned into the socials, right? So Southside Community Center, Instagram, Facebook. Usually there'll be some of the details about CMEP or anything Ithaca Murals, but I'm sure, looking up Ithaca Murals as well. But I would say, yeah, in terms of CMEP specifically, the curricular work with the babies, we have a lot of cool things coming up, and I'm hoping to have a huge fundraiser very soon to support us with making a children's book and working on a documentary, a teacher guide associated with it. It's time to start, coining and publishing what is being created, because it can be replicated. We were talking about that last night too, with both of our work, like the power of naming it explicitly so that we can share it with others. So yes, check out the socials. I try and keep it in my realm. I'm learning Facebook and the Instagram, but I think those are hooks. So just staying tuned in. But
Yeah,
Caleb,
Nia and I are easy to find, and so track us down and easily. And money is super helpful, and spreading the word, and the power of art and justice is so good in our lives.
That's right. And there's so much work to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so we're energized, and there's a lot of there's a lot of suffering to confront explicitly.
Yeah.
And so I know we're in it for sure.
Thank you both again so much. I have so much gratitude for both of you. And there were two things that I pulled from this conversation that I think people should leave with. One is to build stages. I love that metaphor of stages instead of platforms. And lastly, and perhaps most importantly, is y'all dance with a purpose. I think that is what we are leaving with today. So thank you both again so much, and everyone on YouTube for coming live with us, and you can always come back and watch later. But thank you, Nia and Caleb. Hopefully this is not the last time that we talk Green New Deal and arts and culture and justice. But until next